Today I wanted to talk about one of the figures that I haven't spoken of before on this channel, but it's someone that was very instrumental in bringing some comfort to the different perspective that I found working inside of myself. And he was a British philosopher, thinker, kind of became a little bit of an entertainer and passed away some time ago. And his name is Alan Watts. And you can find a number of his speeches and information on YouTube and on the internet, and as well as a number of books that he's written. But what I wanted to share today was something that really lines up with some of the work that I've been sharing from Ouspensky and Gurdjieff. And I'm going to just quote some of the things that he said, or kind of paraphrase some of the things that Alan Watts brought forward today. I'm Roach, Mark Roach, here sharing my journey in getting free from complex PTSD, hopefully to make your life potentially better. And I need to share this, so that's why I'm here. And so getting back to this Alan Watts stuff, what I wanted to share today is what was titled on one presentation that he made. It says, "You always get what you want." And this was proposed potentially as one of his best speeches. So he starts out and he talks about understanding desire. And, the nature of your desire is important to understand. And if you haven't reflected on your own desires and, wants versus needs, I'm here to point that out. That may be critical to help get into your deeper, your more internal life, and to bring some change into your life if that's what you're pursuing. But the nature of desire, it's often perceived as something external to be acquired. And it also reflects kind of like where you're at now. Like you don't have something that you're wanting, and that would set up the circumstance of having a desire. So it's fundamentally a reflection of your self-image. The fluidity of self is another aspect that Alan Watts spoke of. The self is not fixed. It evolves, and it's based on beliefs, fears, and cultural influences, thereby shaping our desires. So a lot of times we're told from the outside what we need, and that would kind of shape your identity and some feelings and beliefs that you have. Whether you really need it or not is another matter. But that external influence, especially early on in life, can really fixate your focus in life. So the paradox of wanting is that the more we chase our desires, the more elusive they can become, leading us to a sense of lack and unfulfillment. So Alan Watts points out that it's important to distinguish between wants and needs. True needs versus wants. Many desires stem from fears, like fear of missing out. I think they call that FOMO today, or FOMO. Not measuring up, rather than from authentic needs. Needs are really fundamental and contribute to our well-being, while wants or desires often fuel a cycle of pursuit, aspiration, and in many cases, disappointment. And of course, if you achieve those desires, they can also lead you to a shallow sense of accomplishment. But true satisfaction really stems fundamentally from identifying your needs, meaning true needs that leads to a sense of completeness and wholeness, as opposed to this fleeting satisfaction often associated with these desires, especially desires that are presented or impressed on us from the outside. So as you explore desires versus needs, there's this role of attention, our attention, your attention. And attention is really energy. And as we're seeing more and more today in social media, there's a lot of a competition for your attention and a lot of effort being paid by businesses, advertisers, politicians for your attention, which is really to occupy and influence who you are or who you think you are. But attention is energy, where we direct our attention, that often really shapes our experiences, Alan Watts says. Focusing on negative aspects magnifies them, while focusing on gratitude or positivity can transform our perception of life. Let me repeat that. Focusing on negative aspects magnifies them. Let me expand a little bit on that, because we repeat so often, and I'm making a generalization there, but the news is often picking up on, and many times rightfully so, about things that are imperative for our survival. Watch out for crime in this area, or, here's a trial that's taking place. And I think, who am I to say? But a lot of times there is some real merit and actually some social positives around some of those, beware of this, part of society, or about this trend that's going on in the world. So I'm not refuting that as necessarily bad or good, but just pointing out that your attention really does shape many things in your life. And that if you focus on these negative aspects, it can really magnify them, and you can find yourself repeating a lot more of those negative warnings for yourself internally, as well as for others. But if you can find a way to focus more on gratitude or positivity, and I'm not saying to ignore the negatives, but find this really Zen place in yourself where you acknowledge those negative aspects are present. Just like, you have this shadow side yourself, and you have some anger, and you have some regrets and some resentment. But you also have a connection to your own joy and positivity and vitality. And so if you can find a way to transform the negative and focus more on the positive, that will bring more positives into the perception, and your energy focus, your attention toward those positives in your life. And that's really helpful in a mindful practice, to bring your attention where it can enhance the engagement with life and others in your life and circumstances in your life that bring forth more of what you really desire, what you really need, what you really would love to be part of, as opposed to repeating this mindless and the patterns of negativity. But letting go of those patterns that have been ingrained in us is not easy. But it is something I'll challenge you to try. And Alan Watts talks about this, control versus flow. The desire for control often leads to frustration. Life is inherently unpredictable, and true power comes from aligning with its natural flow rather than trying to control it. Freedom is really found in letting go of those rigid control patterns that can lead to an unexpected but richer life experiences. So you have to face some fears when you let go and allow yourself to potentially fall into the abyss, to have the chance to rise to the top of the mountain. But you can do that. And you can do it with baby steps, and you can follow some of the advice that Alan Watts shares here about understanding and facing fear. Fear's influence can limit your actions and decisions, leading to avoidance of challenges, and it can stifle your potential. Do you even know your true potential? Consider transforming fear, acknowledging and feeling those fears, facing them. By doing that, that can disarm their hold that they have over us and enable growth and authenticity, which is where your real power lies. The illusion of external fulfillment is something that you've got to consider. External validation. True fulfillment does not come from external accomplishments or possessions, but from a deeper internal alignment. Inner wholeness, consider that. Inner wholeness, recognizing that we are inherently whole, frees us from the chaos for external validation, allowing us to appreciate life as it is. Let me say that again. Recognizing that we are inherently whole frees us from the chase for external validation, allowing us to appreciate life as it is. And then balancing desire and acceptance. Coexistence of desire and acceptance. You know, both desire and acceptance are essential for a fulfilling life. Desire propels growth, whereas acceptance fosters peace. There's a lot said in that, and if you examine that, that'll be a powerful place to work from in your life, and I challenge you to learn how to do that. Embrace the journey. Finding joy in pursuing desires while remaining grounded in the present enhances the overall experience of life. And then Alan Watson, this, again, what's touted as one of his best speeches, says, fulfillment is a state of being. True fulfillment arises from aligning our inner essence and engaging fully with life, not from an external point of validation. And many of the mystics that I've studied and some of the inner work that I've done really supports the truth of this statement that I just brought forward from Alan Watts. Because essence, you may only get a glimpse of yourself a few times in your life. And if you can hold on to that, those tidbits, and gain clarity on that, that brings you one step closer to the divine and to maybe the real purpose of your life, of this life, and how you are going to find satisfaction with yourself, as well as enriching the lives of those around you who you care about. So Alan Watts concludes that fulfillment as a state of being is important for you to consider. True fulfillment arises from aligning with your inner essence with engaging fully in life, not from chasing external validation. And living fully, embracing both the desire and acceptance, allows us to navigate life with grace and authenticity, cultivating satisfaction from within. So by understanding these concepts, Alan Watts goes on to say, individuals can shift their perspective on fulfillment, focusing more on internal contentment rather than external achievements. I'm Mark Roach, wishing you all the best.